So today, we're going to dive into a story that's really special. It's about a temple that was falling apart, a legend that was almost completely forgotten, and the one man who saw a way to bring them both back to life. This is the story of Phra Ajarn Tim and the incredible revival of Wat Chang Hai.
But first, let me ask you this. I mean, think about it. How can a story have any power if no one's even around to remember it? That question, right there, is the key to understanding everything that happened next. All right, so let's set the scene. We're starting with a temple that's basically in ruins, and a legend that's on the very brink of just disappearing forever. Okay, so for over 300 years, that's a long time. The powerful story of Luang Phutuat had pretty much vanished. At the crumbling Wat Chang Hai, the only thing left was this vague local name for an old burial stupa, Tan Lanka. That's it. The physical temple and its very soul, its spiritual legend, they were just fading away together. And then, right into the middle of all this decay and neglect, our central figure shows up, Phra Ajarn Tim. And he wasn't just another monk, not by a long shot. He arrived as a true force for change, right when his community needed it most. You see, he built that foundation of trust really early on. Get this, he arrives in 1941 right in the middle of World War II and finds Wat Chang Hai completely deserted. But its location, right next to the Southern Railway line, was strategic. As villagers were fleeing the Japanese invasion, he turned the temple into a sanctuary. He was providing food and shelter, becoming a spiritual anchor for a community living in fear. And this was all long before he became famous for reviving the legend. So now, with the community's trust, he starts to dream bigger. He has this grand vision of restoring Wat Chang Hai to its former glory. But you know how it is. A dream, no matter how big, can be stopped cold by reality. In 1952, with so much hope, he laid the foundation for a magnificent new chapel, an ubosot. But soon after, everything just stopped. Construction ground to a complete halt. There was simply no money. All he had to show for his grand vision was a set of empty walls. The dream was stalled. So how do you solve an impossible financial problem? Well, Phra Ajarn Tim's solution wasn't financial at all. It was spiritual. And this, right here, is the turning point of the entire story. The birth of the Luang Phutuat amulet in the year 2497. Now, this wasn't some wild guess. It was a really methodical process. First, he basically became a historical detective, digging through ancient texts from another temple. Second, he made a groundbreaking connection. A revered historical monk, people knew as Samdet Chowpako, was the very same person as the forgotten local figure, San Lanka. Third, through meditation, he was given the unifying name for this legend, Luang Phutuat. And finally, he took all these scattered, spoken tales and turned them into an official, published history, cementing the story for generations to come. 2497, or 1954 in the Common Era. This was the year. The year a spiritual revival was literally forged into a physical object, creating a solution to a very, very real-world problem. And the genius of his plan is just so clear when you look at it like this. The problems? A dilapidated temple, stalled construction, and no funds. The solution? He created the very first Luang Phutuat amulets, infused with this newly rediscovered story. The public response was just overwhelming. Donations poured in from devotees, and that dream was finally realized. And just look at what that faith built. It wasn't just about finishing those chapel walls. No. It was an entire complex. The main ubasat, a sermon hall, a school for the community, quarters for the monks, a bell tower, and even a grand pagoda. An entire spiritual and community center, all funded by the revival of a single story. It's just incredible. So what does this make him? I mean, his legacy is so much more than just a builder or a scholar. I think it's best captured by a pretty unique title, the spiritual engineer. And this definition just fits him perfectly, doesn't it? A spiritual engineer. It's someone who architects a solution that rebuilds both physical stuff and spiritual belief. They use faith as the actual foundation for real, tangible progress. That is precisely what Phra Ajarn Tim did. He took a dusty, 300-year-old local tale and breathed new life into it, creating a national legend. Then he harnessed the power of that story and the collective faith that it inspired to transform a ruin into one of the most important Buddhist centers in the entire region. Which, of course, leaves us with one final question to think about.
When you look at his incredible achievement, what is the greater legacy? Is it the magnificent temple that stands there today, or is it the powerful story that built it?